Wealthy mother sees black waiter dancing with her wheelchair-bound daughter and transforms his life. Jennifer Thompson watched uncomfortably as the agile movements of the staff at New York City's most expensive buffet unfolded before her, while her daughter Emily remained isolated in her wheelchair, far from the dance floor where other young guests were enjoying themselves at her best friend's daughter's Sweet 16. The successful businesswoman had invested a fortune in the party, but felt nothing could bring a smile back to her 16-year-old daughter's face. Then she saw something that left her completely stunned. One of the waiters, a young black man around 25, had set his tray aside and gently approached Emily. Without asking anyone's permission, he began spinning the wheelchair to the rhythm of the music, moving with such smooth, graceful motions that it turned the moment into a real dance. Jennifer felt her blood boil. How dare this employee approach her daughter without authorization? She rose from the head table, ready to intervene, but something made her stop halfway. It was a sound she hadn't heard in months, Emily's crystal-clear laughter echoing through the lavish hall. The girl was genuinely happy. Her eyes sparkled in a way Jennifer hadn't seen since before the accident that changed their lives forever. The waiter kept spinning the chair with care, whispering something in Emily's ear that made her laugh even more. "Mom, look!" Emily called out, waving excitedly at Jennifer. "Marcus is teaching me how to dance in my chair." Marcus. So that was the name of the employee who had taken a liberty no one else dared to. Jennifer glanced around and noticed other guests had also taken notice. Some whispered among themselves, clearly uncomfortable with the scene. "What on earth is this?" muttered Heather, the birthday girl's mother, stepping closer to Jennifer. "I'll call the manager right now to fire this boy. How dare he?" Jennifer was torn between her protective instincts and the relief of seeing Emily truly happy for the first time in so long. Before she could respond to Heather, the buffet manager had already marched over, his face red with anger. "Marcus!" the middle-aged man barked. "What do you think you're doing? Get back to work immediately!" The young man stopped instantly, lowering his eyes respectfully. But Emily gripped his arm tightly. "Please don't stop," she pleaded. "This is the first time I've felt like I was really dancing since—" Her voice trailed off. Jennifer knew that silence well. It always happened when Emily remembered the accident that had left her with a spinal cord injury, taking away the use of her legs. "Mrs. Jennifer," Marcus said, addressing her respectfully, "I apologize if I overstepped. I just didn't want Miss Emily to feel left out of the party." His voice was gentle, polite, and Jennifer noticed he didn't have the typical accent of someone from the outer boroughs. He spoke with the same refinement as many of her executives. "Mom, please," Emily begged, tears in her eyes. "Let him stay. I was feeling so alone here." Heather huffed impatiently beside Jennifer, clearly expecting her to reprimand the employee. But when Jennifer looked at her daughter's face, she saw something that made her change her mind completely. "All right," she said, surprising everyone, "but just for tonight." The buffet manager looked confused but deferred to his VIP guest. Marcus gave a quiet smile of thanks and turned his attention back to Emily, who clapped her hands in delight. For the rest of the party, Jennifer watched closely as her daughter and the waiter interacted. Marcus didn't just dance with Emily, he talked to her about music, shared funny stories, and seemed genuinely interested in what the girl had to say. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. When the party ended, Emily was reluctant to leave. Marcus politely said goodbye, wishing them both a good night, but Jennifer noticed he discreetly slipped a small piece of paper into Emily's hand. In the car, the girl carefully unfolded the note. It was a phone number with a message. "If you'd like to learn more adaptive dance steps, just call Marcus." "Mom, can I call him?" Emily asked, her eyes full of hope. Jennifer drove in silence, thinking about all the implications of the situation. Her social circle would never approve of a friendship between her daughter and a waiter. But at the same time, it had been months since she'd seen Emily show interest in anything. "Let's talk about it at home," she replied, buying herself time to think. That night, Jennifer barely slept. She kept thinking about the joy on Emily's face during the party. Since the accident 2 years earlier, her daughter had become a shadow of her former self. The girl who once loved ballet and dreamed of becoming a professional dancer had completely withdrawn, refusing any kind of physical or social activity. The next morning, Emily woke up with an energy Jennifer hadn't seen in a long time. The girl ate breakfast without being told, carefully styled her hair and asked to wear one of the prettiest dresses in her closet. "What's all this for?" Jennifer asked, intrigued. "I thought maybe we could call Marcus today," Emily replied, trying to sound casual but clearly anxious. Jennifer sighed. She knew this moment would come sooner or later. She took the phone from her daughter's hands and dialed the number. Marcus answered on the second ring, as if he'd been waiting for the call. "Hello," he said. "This is Jennifer Thompson, Emily's mother," she began, still unsure what to say. "She'd like to know more about those adaptive dance lessons you mentioned." "I'm so glad you called," Marcus replied with genuine enthusiasm. "I can explain better in person if you'll allow me. There's a community center in the neighborhood where I volunteer, teaching dance to people with different physical limitations." Jennifer wrote down the address he gave and promised to bring Emily the next afternoon. When she hung up, she noticed her daughter was practically vibrating with happiness in her chair. "Thank you, Mom," Emily said, hugging Jennifer tightly. "Thank you so much." The next day, Jennifer drove to the address Marcus had provided. It was a much simpler neighborhood than the ones she usually frequented. The community center was an old but well-kept building, with a sign at the entrance that read, "Hope Springs Inclusive Activities Center." When they entered, they were greeted by a woman in her 60s, her gray hair tied in a bun and a warm smile on her face. "You must be Emily and her mother," the woman said. "I'm Mrs. Gloria, the coordinator here. Marcus mentioned you'd be coming today." Gloria led them to a spacious room with mirrored walls and support bars. Several people of different ages, all with some form of physical limitation, were practicing dance moves under Marcus's guidance. Jennifer was impressed by what she saw. The young man she'd met as a waiter seemed completely at home in this setting, demonstrating intricate techniques and adapting each movement to the student's specific needs. "Marcus is our most dedicated volunteer, Mrs. Gloria explained. "He comes here 3 times a week, always after work." "How many jobs does he have?" Sayan asked Jennifer, curious. 3, the woman replied, lowering her voice. "A waiter in the morning, a store clerk in the afternoon, and here at night. He supports his mother, who's sick." Jennifer felt a tightness in her chest. She was used to people who worked for luxury, not out of basic necessity for survival. Marcus approached them with a radiant smile when he saw Emily. "So glad you came," he said. "Emily, want to try some moves?" The girl nodded enthusiastically, and Marcus began teaching her simple steps she could perform with her arms and torso. Jennifer watched from afar, impressed by the young man's patience and gentleness. During the class, Emily seemed to come alive. Her movements became more fluid, and she interacted naturally with the other students. Jennifer realized her daughter was having fun in a way she hadn't in a long time. When the lesson ended, Marcus walked over to Jennifer. "Emily has a natural talent," he said. "With the right training, she could develop excellent adaptive dance technique." "You really believe that?" Jennifer asked, moved. "I'm sure of it," Marcus replied. "I've worked with many people and few have the coordination and musicality your daughter shows." On the way home, Emily couldn't stop talking about the experience. Jennifer made a decision that surprised even herself. "If you want, you can keep going to the classes," she said. "I'll take you." Emily shrieked with joy, hugging her mother so enthusiastically she nearly made her lose control of the wheel. In the following weeks, Jennifer took Emily to the community center religiously. With each class, she saw her daughter growing more excited and confident. Marcus became not just a teacher, but a close friend to Emily. One day, while waiting for the lesson to end, Jennifer struck up a conversation with Mrs. Gloria about the center's history. "This place was founded by my mother 30 years ago," the coordinator shared. "She believed everyone deserves a chance to shine, no matter their limitations." "Is your mother still alive?" Jennifer asked. "Sadly, no," Gloria replied with sorrow. "She passed away 5 years ago, but I carry on her work." "And Marcus? How did he end up here?" "Oh, that's an interesting story," Gloria said with a nostalgic smile. He showed up 2 years ago, right after losing his wife. He was shattered, with no direction in life. My mother was the one who took him in and discovered his talent for dance. Jennifer was shocked. Marcus was a widower. She'd never imagined someone so young could have endured such a devastating loss. "What happened to his wife?" she asked, trying to be delicate. "Childbirth complications," Gloria whispered. "She and the baby." It was a tragedy. Marcus was finishing his degree in physical education at the time, but dropped everything. Said there was no point in going on. Jennifer felt a lump in her throat. Suddenly she understood why Marcus devoted himself so deeply to helping others. It was his way of coping with his own pain. That night, when they got home, Emily was particularly chatty. "Mum, did you know Marcus speaks 3 languages?" she asked excitedly. "Really?" Jennifer replied, surprised. "English, Spanish, and French, and he used to teach dance at famous studios before working with special needs students like me." "How do you know that?" "He told me today, said he prefers working with us because it's more rewarding." Jennifer began to realize there was much more to Marcus than she'd first assumed. She decided to do some research into his past. Online, she found several old videos of Marcus dancing professionally. He had been an instructor at one of the most renowned dance academies in New York City, specializing in ballroom and contemporary dance. His movements were elegant and precise, and Jennifer was impressed by his technical skill. She also found a newspaper article from 3 years ago about the death of his wife. The young woman's name was Nicole, and she had been a nurse. According to the report, she had faced complications during childbirth and didn't survive. The baby also didn't make it. Jennifer felt her heart tighten as she read the details. Marcus had lost his entire family all at once. It was understandable that he had abandoned his promising career to dedicate himself to work that allowed him to help others. The next day, after Emily's lesson, Jennifer asked to speak with Marcus privately. "Mrs. Gloria told me about your loss," she said carefully. "I'm so sorry." Marcus lowered his eyes, clearly uncomfortable with the subject. "Thank you," he murmured, "but I'd rather not talk about it." "I understand," Jennifer replied. "I just wanted you to know how much I admire the work you do here. Emily is unrecognizably happy." "She's special," Marcus said, smiling again. "She has a determination that amazes me every day." "Can I ask you a personal question?" Jennifer ventured. Marcus nodded, curious. "Why did you leave your career as a professional instructor to volunteer here?" Marcus thought for a moment before answering. "Because here people dance with their hearts, not just their bodies," he said. "When you see someone like Emily overcoming their limitations through dance, you realize the real value isn't in the money you make, but in the difference you make in people's lives." Jennifer was deeply moved by his answer. She began to see Marcus in a new light, not just as a helpful employee, but as someone who had deliberately chosen a life of purpose over profit. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. A few weeks later, Jennifer received an unexpected call. It was Heather, the friend who had thrown the party where she met Marcus. "Jennifer, I need to tell you something," Heather said in a conspiratorial tone. "I found out something interesting about that waiter who danced with Emily." "What did you find out?" Jennifer asked, already sensing it wouldn't be good. "He's Dorothy's son, remember? That maid who worked at my house for years." Jennifer was confused. She didn't recall any Dorothy. "I don't know who you're talking about," she said. "Dorothy Williams, a wonderful woman. She worked for several families in the neighborhood. Her family was always well respected, but they went through terrible hardships when she fell ill." Jennifer began connecting the dots. The sick mother Marcus had been supporting. "Where exactly did this woman work?" she asked. "In several homes, including your late mother-in-law's, Mrs. Margaret. They were very close." Jennifer felt the world spin around her. Mrs. Margaret, her late husband's mother, had passed away 3 years ago, but she had always spoken fondly of a maid named Dorothy. Could it be the same person? That night, Jennifer called her sister-in-law to confirm. "Of course I remember Dorothy," Amanda said. "Mom adored her. She worked for our family for over 15 years. Why do you ask?" "I met her son," Jennifer replied, avoiding details. Marcus? Oh, that boy was such a sweetheart as a child, always polite, studious. Dorothy was so proud of him. Mom even helped with some college tuition when the family was struggling. Jennifer hung up the phone, completely shaken. His own mother-in-law had helped Marcus with his studies, and she didn't even know he existed. Fate seemed to have conspired to bring those families together again. The next day, Jennifer arrived early at the community center. She wanted to talk to Marcus before Emily's class began. "Marcus, can I speak with you for a moment?" she asked. "Of course, Mrs. Jennifer. Is something wrong? I found out your mother worked in my mother-in-law's house for many years." Marcus's eyes widened in surprise. "You're Mrs. Margaret's daughter-in-law?" "I was. She passed away 3 years ago." "I'm so sorry," Marcus said sincerely. "Mrs. Margaret was one of the kindest people I've ever known. She helped my family through some very tough times." "Is your mother still ill?" Marcus lowered his gaze, clearly worried. "Diabetes and heart problems. The medications are expensive and she needs constant care." Jennifer felt a pang of guilt. While she lived in abundance, this family, who had once helped her own, was struggling financially. "Marcus, can I make you an offer?" He looked at her curiously. "Emily is doing very well in class, but I think she'd benefit from more intensive sessions. How would you feel about me hiring you as her private instructor?" "I'm not sure that would be appropriate," Marcus replied hesitantly. "Your social circle might not approve." "Let me worry about that," Jennifer said firmly. "What matters is my daughter's well-being." Marcus accepted the offer, and they agreed he would teach Emily 3 times a week at the Thompson home. Jennifer offered a fair salary, allowing Marcus to cut back on other jobs and spend more time caring for his mother. When Emily heard the news, she was thrilled. The idea of private lessons with Marcus was a dream she hadn't even dared to have. For the first lesson, Jennifer set up a room in the back of the house, installing mirrors and support bars. Marcus was impressed by the dedicated space and began working with Emily in an even more personalized way. During the lessons, Jennifer often watched from a distance. She noticed Marcus wasn't just an excellent teacher, but also a true therapist for Emily. He encouraged the girl to express her emotions through dance and helped her cope with the frustration of not being able to use her legs. One day, Emily came home from her lesson particularly excited. "Mom, Marcus taught me a beautiful routine today," she said. "It's about overcoming challenges and inner strength." "How interesting," Jennifer replied. "What's the music like?" Emily began humming a soft, emotional melody. Jennifer recognized the song. It was one she used to listen to while grieving her husband's loss. "He said the song is about people who face storms and still find the rainbow afterward," Emily continued. Jennifer realized Marcus was using his own experience of loss to help Emily deal with her limitations. It was a sensitive, profound approach that went far beyond just teaching dance steps. A few weeks later, Marcus missed 2 lessons in a row. Emily grew worried, and Jennifer decided to call. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Jennifer," Marcus said, his voice tired. "My mother had a health crisis, and I had to take her to the hospital. She's been admitted." "Is it serious?" Jennifer asked, concerned. "The doctors are still evaluating. She might need heart surgery, but it's very expensive." Jennifer was thoughtful after hanging up. That family had helped hers in the past, and now it was her turn to return the kindness. The next day, she went to the hospital where Mrs. Dorothy was staying. She found Marcus asleep in a chair beside his mother's bed, clearly exhausted. "Marcus," she called gently. He woke up startled, taking a moment to recognize her. "Mrs. Jennifer, what are you doing here?" "I came to see how your mother is doing." Mrs. Dorothy was awake and smiled when she saw Jennifer. "You must be Emily's mother," the woman said, her voice weak but still warm. "My son can't stop talking about her." "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Dorothy," Jennifer replied. "Your mother-in-law, Mrs. Margaret, always spoke so fondly of you." Dorothy's eyes filled with tears. "Mrs. Margaret was an angel in my life," she said. "Without her help, my Marcus would never have been able to study." Jennifer spoke with the attending doctor and learned that Dorothy indeed needed urgent heart surgery. The procedure would cost a significant amount, but nothing impossible for someone with Jennifer's resources. Without hesitation, she went to the hospital's finance department and paid for Mrs. Dorothy's treatment in full. She asked them not to mention who had made the payment. When Marcus found out the surgery had been approved, he was confused. The hospital only said an anonymous benefactor had covered the costs. It must have been a miracle, he told Emily during their next lesson. Emily glanced at her mother with a knowing smile. Jennifer had told her about paying for the surgery, but asked her to keep her identity as the donor a secret. Mrs. Dorothy's surgery was a success. During her recovery, Marcus dedicated himself even more intensely to Emily's lessons, grateful for the second chance life had given his mother. It was during this time that something unexpected began to happen. Jennifer noticed Emily making small movements with her feet during the lessons, as if trying to follow the rhythms Marcus was teaching. "Emily, can you feel anything in your legs?" Jennifer asked one day after observing the subtle movements. "Sometimes I feel strange things," the girl replied, brushing it off. "But the doctor said it's normal, just muscle contractions." Jennifer decided to schedule an appointment with Emily's neurologist. Dr. Wilson examined the girl and was intrigued by some reflexes she displayed. "This is interesting," the doctor said. "Emily is showing responses she didn't have before. Dancing might be stimulating neural connections that were dormant." "Does that mean she could walk again?" Jennifer asked, her heart racing. "I can't make any promises, Doctor," Wilson replied cautiously. "But there's a possibility of partial recovery. I'll order more tests to better understand what's happening." Jennifer decided not to tell Emily or Marcus anything until she had more concrete information. She didn't want to raise false hopes. The new tests revealed that Emily had developed new neural connections in the injured area. Dancing, combined with the emotional motivation she had found, was literally rebuilding pathways in her nervous system. "This is an extraordinary case," Dr. Wilson explained. "Her passion for dance and the therapeutic work she's been doing have created ideal conditions for neural regeneration." "How much can she recover?" Jennifer asked. "It's impossible to say for sure, but with the right treatment she could regain movement in her legs, maybe even stand with support." Jennifer left the office with her heart overflowing with hope. She decided to tell Marcus first, as he would be crucial in the recovery process. When she explained the situation to him, Marcus was moved to tears. "I always suspected something special was happening," he said. "Emily has a determination that moves mountains." "The doctor said you're a key part of this process," Jennifer explained. "The way you work with her is creating miracles." "Then we'll work even more intensely," replied Marcus, his eyes shining with hope. They decided to tell Emily about the possibility of recovery, but carefully, to avoid creating unnecessary pressure. When Emily heard the news, her first reaction was disbelief. "Are you sure, Mom? You're not just trying to cheer me up." "The tests are clear," Jennifer answered. "Your body is responding to the treatment in a way the doctors didn't expect." Emily looked at Marcus, who nodded with an encouraging smile. "We'll work together," he said. "No matter the final outcome, you've already achieved much more than we ever thought possible." From that day on, the sessions became even more intense. Marcus developed specific exercises to stimulate neural regeneration, always keeping the playful and artistic aspect that Emily loved so much. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. 2 months later, during a particularly intense session, something magical happened. Emily was focusing on an arm movement when suddenly the toes on her right foot moved consciously. "Marcus," she shouted, "look!" She concentrated intensely and managed to move her toes again. Marcus froze in emotion, unable to believe what he was seeing. "Emily, this is incredible," he said, his voice choked up. "Mom," Emily called, "come see." Jennifer rushed into the dance room and witnessed the magical moment when her daughter consciously moved her toes. It was an explosion of joy that filled the entire house. Dr. Wilson confirmed that Emily was experiencing significant neurological recovery. She would still need a lot of work and physical therapy, but the prognosis was far more optimistic than anyone had imagined. "It's one of the most extraordinary cases I've ever seen," the doctor said. The combination of therapeutic dance and emotional motivation created perfect conditions for healing. In the following weeks, Emily continued to progress. First, it was her toes, then her ankles, and gradually she began to feel sensations in her entire legs. Marcus adapted the lessons to include muscle-strengthening exercises, always keeping the focus on dance. Emily was determined to dance on her feet again, even if only for a few moments. During this time, Jennifer began developing special feelings for Marcus. She admired not only his professional dedication, but also his integrity, compassion, and inner strength to overcome his own tragedies. One day, after an especially emotional session where Emily managed to stand for a few seconds with support, Jennifer and Marcus found themselves alone in the room. "I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for us," Jennifer said sincerely. "You've changed my life too," Marcus replied. "Emily taught me that it's worth fighting for dreams, even when it seems impossible." There was a tension in the air, a connection that went beyond their professional relationship. Jennifer was drawn not just to Marcus's appearance, but to everything he represented: courage, dedication, and an extraordinary ability to turn pain into purpose. "Marcus," she began hesitantly. "I know," he said gently, interrupting her. "I feel it too. But our situation is complicated." "Because of the social difference?" Jennifer asked. "Not just that," Marcus replied. "You're the mother of my student, a successful woman, and I'm still dealing with my past." Jennifer understood that Marcus still carried the pain of losing his wife and didn't feel ready for a new relationship. She decided to respect his space, focusing on what was most important at that moment: Emily's recovery. 3 months after the first movement of her fingers, Emily managed to take her first steps with the help of a walker. The moment was captured on video by Jennifer, who cried with emotion seeing her daughter walking again. "Mom, I'm going to dance again," Emily said, radiant with happiness. "You never stopped dancing," Jennifer replied. "You just found a new way to do it." Marcus was equally moved. Seeing Emily overcoming her limitations was proof that life still held miracles for those who didn't give up. That night, Jennifer received an unexpected call. It was Amanda, her sister-in-law. "Jennifer, there's something you need to know," Amanda said in a mysterious tone. "What is it?" "I found some old letters from Mom among her belongings." There was one from Dorothy, Marcus's mother, thanking her for the help with a treatment she had years ago. Jennifer was confused. What kind of help? Mom paid for an experimental treatment for Dorothy 10 years ago. It cost a fortune, but it saved her life. In the letter, Dorothy promises she'd repay our family's kindness one day. Jennifer felt a shiver. Fate had truly conspired to bring these families together. Mrs. Margaret had saved Dorothy's life, and now Dorothy's son was saving Emily's emotional life. "There's more," Amanda continued. "In the letter, Dorothy mentions she has a son who dreams of being a dance teacher, and that one day he'd make a difference in other people's lives." Jennifer hung up the phone, completely shaken. It all seemed orchestrated by a greater force. The families had been connected far longer than they'd ever imagined. The next day, she told Marcus about the discovery of the letters. He was surprised to learn that Mrs. Margaret had saved his mother's life years before. "Now I understand why my mother always said our family owed the Thompsons a debt," he said. "She never told me the details, but she insisted we'd have a chance to repay it one day." "And you've repaid it tenfold," Jennifer replied. "Emily is practically healed thanks to your work." "It wasn't just my work," Marcus said. "It was your love, Emily's determination, and maybe a little bit of fate's magic." 6 months after the first signs of recovery, Emily was walking with almost complete independence. She still needed support for long distances, but she could move around the house without help. Most impressively, she had returned to dancing in an adapted form. Her choreography combined wheelchair movements with standing steps, creating a unique and moving artistic expression. Marcus suggested Emily perform at the community center to show her progress to the other students. The performance was scheduled for a Saturday afternoon, and Jennifer invited some close friends to attend. On the day of the performance, the small hall at the community center was packed. Besides the regular students, there were family members, friends, and even some local journalists who had heard about Emily's inspiring story. When the music began, Emily entered the hall in her wheelchair, moving with fluid grace. Midway through the choreography, she stood with support and danced a few steps before smoothly returning to her chair without missing a beat. The audience sat in total silence, mesmerized by the beauty and strength of the performance. When the music ended, there was an explosion of applause and tears of emotion. Jennifer wept openly, proud of her daughter's courage and determination. Marcus stood by the stage, equally moved, proud to have been part of this transformative journey. After the performance, many people approached Emily to congratulate her. One of them was a television producer who had happened to watch. "Emily, your performance was extraordinary," the woman said. "I'd like to invite you to be part of a program we're producing about overcoming challenges." Emily looked at her mother and Marcus, unsure how to respond. "We can think about it," said Jennifer. "For now, we just want to celebrate this achievement." That night, they had a small gathering at home to celebrate the success of the performance. Emily was radiant, talking about her plans for the future. "I want to open an adaptive dance school," she said, "to teach others who have limitations like I did." Marcus smiled, proud to see his student becoming an inspiration for others. "That's a wonderful idea," he said, "and I'd be honored to help you make that dream come true." Jennifer watched their interaction and felt her heart warm. Marcus had become so much more than a teacher to Emily. He was a mentor, a friend, and a father figure the girl had never had. A few weeks later, Emily decided to accept the invitation to appear on the television program. The recording took place at the community center itself, showcasing her work with Marcus and other students. The show aired 2 weeks later and had a much greater impact than anyone expected. Emily received hundreds of messages from people with disabilities who were inspired by her story. "Mom, look how many people want to learn adaptive dance," Emily said, showing the messages on her phone. "Maybe it really is time to think about that school you mentioned," Jennifer replied. Marcus was excited by the idea. There were so many people in need of the kind of work they did, and so few places offering such activities. "I could leave my other jobs and dedicate myself fully to this project," he said. "Let's do it together," Jennifer replied. "I can invest in the space and equipment. You bring the technical expertise, and Emily can be our ambassador and first instructor." The idea for the adaptive dance school quickly took shape. Jennifer rented a spacious location in a central part of the city, purchased specialized equipment, and hired other professionals to form a multidisciplinary team. Marcus became the school's technical director, finally able to devote himself entirely to what he loved most. Mrs. Dorothy, now fully recovered from her surgery, was hired as the receptionist and administrative coordinator. Emily, at 17, became the school's youngest instructor, specializing in working with teens and young adults. Her own recovery journey served as constant inspiration for new students. The Hope Dance Academy opened 6 months later with a grand celebration that brought together local officials, healthcare professionals, and dozens of people interested in the classes. During the opening ceremony, Jennifer gave an emotional speech about how the project had come to life. "This school exists because we believe everyone deserves a chance to shine," she said. "It started with a simple dance at a party and grew into something that can change hundreds of lives." Marcus also addressed the crowd, thanking them for the opportunity to turn his passion for dance into a tool for social change. "Dance teaches us that there are no limitations, only different forms of expression," he said. "Every person who walks through these doors teaches us a new way to see the beauty of life." Emily performed the opening number, dancing a choreography that told her own story of overcoming adversity. When she rose from her chair and danced her first step standing, the entire audience was moved. In the months that followed, the school became a resounding success. Dozens of students enrolled, and the waiting list kept growing. The school offered not only dance classes, but also physical therapy, occupational therapy, and psychological support. Jennifer followed the project's progress closely, impressed by the results they were achieving. Many students showed significant improvements, not just in motor coordination, but also in self-esteem and quality of life. During this time, she and Marcus developed a very strong professional partnership. They worked well together, complementing each other's skills and sharing the same vision for the project's social impact. One day, after a meeting about expanding the school, Marcus surprised Jennifer with a more personal conversation. "Jennifer, can I talk to you about something unrelated to work?" he asked. "Of course," she replied, curious. "I've been thinking a lot about us," Marcus said hesitantly. "About the feelings we've developed for each other." Jennifer felt her heart race. They had maintained a strictly professional relationship over the past few months, but the mutual attraction was undeniable. "I've been thinking about it too," she admitted. "I think I'm ready to try something new," Marcus said. "You've changed my life in a way I didn't think was possible." "Are you sure? I don't want you to feel pressured by gratitude or obligation." "It's not gratitude," Marcus replied, looking into her eyes. "It's love. Love for you, for Emily, for the family you've become to me." Jennifer was moved by his words. She had felt the same way for months, but respected the time Marcus needed to process his past losses. "I love you too," she said. "But we need to talk to Emily before anything else." "I agree," Marcus replied. "She's the most important person in this story." That evening, Jennifer and Marcus talked to Emily about the feelings they had developed for each other. The girl's reaction was pure joy. "Finally," she exclaimed. I've been waiting for this for months." "You've been waiting?" Jennifer asked, surprised. "Mom, anyone can see you like each other," Emily said, laughing. "You look at each other in a special way." "And you'd be okay with this?" Marcus asked. "More than okay," Emily replied. "It'd be like our family was finally complete." From that day on, Jennifer and Marcus made their relationship public. The news was met with enthusiasm by the school staff and students who already saw them as the perfect couple. Mrs. Dorothy was particularly happy about the relationship's development. She had noticed how caring Jennifer was with Marcus and how she treated Emily like her own daughter. "Finally, my son has found a real family," she said to her friend Gloria at the community center. A year after the school's opening, Jennifer and Marcus decided to marry. The ceremony was held at the school itself, with all the students, staff, and friends in attendance. Emily was the maid of honor, dancing during the ceremony in a way that moved everyone. She had almost fully recovered, able to walk and dance with only minor limitations. During the wedding reception, Emily gave a speech that touched everyone present. "2 years ago, I thought my life was over," she said. "Today, I know it had just begun in a different way. Marcus didn't just teach me to dance again. He taught me there's always a reason to keep trying. And my mom taught me that true love has no prejudices," she continued. "That a family is built with care, respect, and dedication, not appearances or social conventions." Jennifer cried throughout the speech, proud of the maturity and wisdom her daughter had gained. 2 years after the wedding, Hope Dance Academy had become a national reference in therapeutic dance. They welcomed visitors from other states, interested in replicating the model in their cities. Emily, now 19, had graduated with a degree in physical education, specializing in therapeutic dance. She divided her time between teaching at the academy and giving university lectures on inclusion and overcoming challenges. Marcus had resumed his studies and graduated in physical therapy, specializing in working with people with neurological disabilities. His innovative approach, combining dance with medical rehabilitation, was being studied by researchers from several universities. Jennifer had found a new purpose in life. Besides running the academy, she became an active advocate for disability rights, using her social influence to promote legislative and social changes. One Saturday morning, 3 years after the wedding, the family was gathered for breakfast when Emily made an announcement that surprised everyone. "I have some news to share," she said with a mysterious smile. "What is it?" Jennifer and Marcus asked at the same time. "I received an offer to teach adaptive dance at a university in the United States," Emily said. "It's an incredible opportunity to take our work to an international level." Jennifer felt torn between pride for her daughter's achievement and sadness at the thought of the distance. "It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," Marcus said. "You should take it." "But I don't want to leave you," Emily replied. "The academy is my responsibility too." "The academy will still be here," Jennifer said, "and you can always come back. But this chance might not come again. After much discussion, Emily decided to accept the offer. She would spend 2 years in the United States, developing a graduate program in therapeutic dance. The farewell was emotional, but everyone knew Emily was following her destiny as an educator and inspiration to others. With Emily in the United States, Jennifer and Marcus devoted themselves even more to the academy. They expanded programs, created a training course for other teachers, and developed their own methodology, which began gaining international recognition. Mrs. Dorothy, now 70, still worked at the academy, but had become more of an advisor than an employee. Her life experience and wisdom helped many families who came to the academy facing challenges similar to those they had once overcome. One Friday afternoon, 2 years after Emily's departure, Jennifer received an international call that left her overjoyed. "Mom, I have a surprise for you," Emily said through the computer screen. "What kind of surprise?" Jennifer asked. "I'm coming back to the United States next week, and I'm not coming alone." Emily introduced the family to a young American man named Tyler, who had fallen in love not only with her, but also with the Brazilian Academy's philosophy. "Tyler is a physical therapist and wants to implement our methodology in the United States," Emily explained. "We're going to create an international partnership." Emily's return brought new energy to the academy. Tyler quickly integrated into the team, bringing American techniques that perfectly complemented the methods developed by Marcus. The international partnership led to an exchange program between students and professionals from both countries. Hope Dance Academy became the first American center to join a global network of institutions focused on therapeutic dance. During the ceremony launching the international program, Jennifer reflected on the incredible journey that had begun with a simple dance at a quinceañera. "When I first saw Marcus dancing with Emily, I never imagined that moment would change our lives so profoundly," she said during her speech. "I learned that prejudices blind us to the miracles happening right before our eyes," she continued. "I learned that love doesn't choose color, social class, or physical condition." Marcus also spoke about his personal journey. "I lost one family and thought I'd never be happy again," he said. "But life taught me there's always room for a new beginning, for new loves and new families." Emily, now engaged to Tyler, spoke about how her disability had become a tool for social change. "What I thought was the end of my story turned out to be just the beginning," she said. "Now I know it didn't happen to destroy me, but to prepare me to help others." 5 years after that first meeting at the party, Hope Dance Academy had become a respected institution, not just in the United States, but internationally. Hundreds of people had gone through its programs, and many had gone on to inspiring paths of overcoming adversity. Jennifer, now 45, found in directing the school a professional fulfillment she'd never experienced in her previous businesses. She discovered that using her wealth to transform lives was far more rewarding than simply accumulating more of it. Marcus, at 30, had become a global reference in therapeutic dance. He received invitations to speak at universities worldwide, but always returned to his school, his family, and the work that gave his life meaning. Emily, at 22, was pregnant with her first child. She and Tyler had married in a simple ceremony at the school, surrounded by their extended family, students, teachers, and staff. "I want my child to grow up knowing nothing is impossible," Emily said during the baby shower held at the academy. "I want them to see from an early age that differences are opportunities to learn, not obstacles." Mrs. Dorothy, now Emily's adoptive grandmother and soon-to-be great-grandmother to the baby, watched it all with a heart full of gratitude. "God has his plans," she often said. "Sometimes what seems like tragedy is just the path to something wonderful." One Sunday afternoon, the whole family gathered at Jennifer and Marcus's home for a special lunch. Emily was in her final month of pregnancy, and everyone eagerly awaited the baby's arrival. "Have you thought of a name yet?" Jennifer asked. "If it's a boy, he'll be Ethan," Emily replied. "Like the boy in the story you told me when I was little, the one who appeared to save a family." "And if it's a girl?" Marcus asked. "Margaret," Tyler answered, "after your grandmother, who started this chain of kindness that brought us here." Jennifer was moved by the choice. Mrs. Margaret would have been proud to see how her kindness toward Dorothy's family had sparked a ripple of change that still touched lives decades later. 2 weeks later, Ethan was born, a healthy baby boy who brought even more joy to this family built on love, determination, and mutual acceptance. At the baby's christening, held at the school in an interfaith ceremony respecting the community's diverse beliefs, Jennifer shared a reflection that summed up all they'd lived through. "Ethan represents the future we've built together," she said. "A future where love overcomes prejudice, where limitations turn into possibilities, and where everyone gets the chance to shine in their own way." The end. Now tell us what you thought of this story of transformation and resilience. Where have you been following us from? If this story touched your heart, please share your sincere thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Jennifer made the right choices by opening her heart to Marcus and supporting Emily's dreams? We'd love to hear your opinion. Thank you so much for being with us.